And so good morning, everyone. Thanks for coming this Sunday on Zoom and in person. I invite you, those of you on Zoom, to please mute yourselves right now. That'll be helpful for everybody. And last week was my first day back of 8 weeks here as a minister in residence. So this is the second Sunday. And last Sunday, I talked about some things from my meditation, right? We did talk about the substance of love, and I invited you into an experience where you could hopefully feel that, feel the love. And we had our first Wednesday class on Wednesday. And this is a new flyer. There's a poster out there, and there's a new whatchamacallit, little flyer that I'm gonna send electronically, or Dr. Maya will in her e-bulletin. It's not too late to join the class. You can join at any time. You don't have to do all sessions. You can go in between, but the focus is unleashing your life. And this is what I'm going to talk about today, unleashing our life. So that's that. We also have a poster, just as a reminder, I'm offering nature meditations across the street in the park because it's summer. So here's a little flyer for that and a poster. You'll be seeing that in the e-bulletin as well. So I hope you guys take these with you. Thursday at 5 is a nature meditation. And the Wednesday class is also at 5 o'clock on Zoom and in person. And that's $15 a class. There are some scholarships available. And if you just do like a package of 4, you can save $5. So anyway, hopefully that's a lot of flexibility, so that by the end of the summer, if you follow along with these, hopefully you'll feel a difference. Because one of the first things we did was write down, well, what's our big dream for our life? The big dream. And what do we think are the big blocks that we're aware of, right? And we sealed those up, and we'll look at those at the end of the summer and see if we've progressed, releasing the blocks and making our way towards our future self. So there's a lot of tools in the toolkit, from shamanism and mindfulness to, of course, unity, affirmations and prayers, and other things from people like Eckhart Tolle, Benjamin Hardy. There's a lot of resources that I pull in, things from seminary. So it's kind of whatever it takes to unleash your life, basically. It's whatever it takes. So speaking of that, I just want to tell you a little story. So on Sundays after our service from 2 to 4 is Reverend Juliet's Spirit Temple, where they give messages from Spirit. And there was also a message circle in the evening. And I also took her class. So I had like the whole afternoon of mediumship, basically, which I celebrate it. I find it useful and fascinating, and to learn behind the scenes how she does it, just a taste of just an hour. Oh man, it was very enlightening. But the message that came through to me last Sunday was, you have more to unleash, right? You have more. I have even more that I have not yet brought into this lifetime. And an ancestor from my mom's side, who I don't know who it is, it wasn't somebody I could identify, but it sounded like somebody from my mom's side. The story was that she was known as being kind of flighty and not totally normal, and she loved all things in nature, including little potato bugs and worms in the soil, all the things that people were, you're not supposed to like those things. And she's the one who gave me that message, that there's more in me to still unfold. There's more in me that's my true authentic self to let go now and unleash. And I was like, well, I don't feel like I feel like I'm good. I'm making my plan to live on my land. I've got this whole summer basically in Montreal. What more do I have to do? Not do, like always have goals, but I was like, what could I possibly still, really? What could that be in there that hasn't come out yet? And I've been pondering that. And last night and this morning, I had a couple of reflections and experiences where I thought, oh yes, there still is more, right? The onion that never ends. Like, did you ever go to that restaurant? I think it's called Outback in the United States. And they have this thing called the blooming onion. right? And it's like this giant fried onion that they serve to you like a lotus flower that has all these layers to it. It just keeps open, like never ending onion, like you never get to the middle of it. It's just so huge. And that's what I feel like today. I feel like not necessarily fried onion, but I feel like, the ever opening, blooming lotus and blooming onion is like, wow, more to do. And I wanted to share a song with you, if Kate can call it up. I was watching a program, it's called Modern Love on Paramount. I don't know if you guys have access to that. It's just a series of fun, uplifting love stories. And this one love story was between a man and a woman that I think they were divorced. I missed the beginning of it. And then she ended up getting cancer. She's in the hospital, but her ex-husband clearly is still in love with her, and he's doting on her and their two beautiful young daughters. And they have a reunion. They reunite towards the end of the story. And they closed the scene from the Modern Love series with this song from Neil Young. Imagine him here with his guitar.
When you were young and on your own, how did it feel to be alone? I was always thinking of games that I was playing, trying to make the best of my time, but only love can break your heart. Try to be sure right from the start. Yes, only love can break your heart. What if your world should fall apart? I have a friend I've never seen. He hides his head inside a dream. Someone should call him and see if he can come out. Try to lose the down that he's found, but only love can break your heart. Try to be sure right from the start. Yes, only love can break your heart. What if your world should fall apart? I have a friend I've never seen. He hides his head inside a dream. Yes, only love can break your heart. Yes, only love can break your heart. Thank you.
Okay. Oops. Those. Doesn't that just break you open? Oh, that song and his voice, his haunting voice too. I remember I was in high school. There was this guy I was pining for, and he loved the Neil Young music. And every time I hear Neil Young music, I have this hollow feeling inside me. So that within the context of this beautiful love story, just finally opened me up. That sad feeling just opened me up. I was like, oh, I do have more. I do have more. So God bless those sad times. It's part of our human experience, and not to, I used to want to push them down, suppress them. That's not good, right? You want to experience those things. This is part of when I used to ride my bike a lot. For every uphill, there's a downhill. And if there weren't for those uphills, pedaling up and the, sore muscles, and like, oh, am I up there yet? That's half the fun of the going, the easy part. It provides contrast. And that contrast provides wisdom, right? And for me, self-awareness, and maybe for you too. So I played that because I was like, okay, maybe we opened up a little sensitive spot right here, which is good. Now keep that sensitive spot. And I want to share with you another story from yesterday. So I'm currently taking a class, a 6-month program with Francis Rico, who's a shaman from Mexico. And he wrote the book Deep Beauty, which some of you from my times here before, I think I've talked about some of that. We did some of the exercises from that beautiful book. And I've been learning things, and I just needed some one-on-one time with Francis. So he made himself available to me yesterday afternoon. And we spent an hour and a half on Zoom, just the two of us. And I've met him in person before. In North Carolina, when I first moved there, he was a guest of someone, and he was having appointments, and he gave a class. And he comes from the Toltec tradition. That's the name of the medicine people. You're probably familiar, Leticia, right? No. Well, I don't know. Rosemary knows a lot of people, but he lives in California, but he's been all over, and he's a musician as well, but very knowledgeable. And he reinforced something that I received in one of my morning meditations, and I want to share it with you. And it's really a reminder to always remember that we're at the center of the universe. It's almost like everything's inside out. It looks like it's outside of us, but it's all right in here. And our access to it can be helped by external things like teachers and gurus and books and enlightened ones and whoever we want to imagine, with situations and things, but it's all right here anyway. It's all right in here anyway. And to become aware of that more often, to remind myself of that, is part of my mission and part of my practice. Let's call it my practice. But he went farther than that, because I was sharing with him situations in my energy healing practice that I was curious about and wanted more information. And he was like, just remember, it's all from you, and just outshine, just pour your love and your joy and your light. He goes, you already do that, Chris. You already just can fill the room with your enthusiasm and energy and light, but go beyond that, amp it up. And here was the key, and this is the part I wanted to share with you. He said, give it to yourself first, before, make sure you're amped up like a lighthouse, and then beam the light out, right? So in order for a lighthouse to work with those Fresnel lenses and the bright, bright, bright lights to be seen miles and miles into the lakes and the oceans, that light has to be pretty well equipped, and it's got to have a lot of energy in there. And it was a great reminder to me, right? And if I'm powered up, and I'll show you what he shared with me, then everything that I'm radiating out and sharing with others is even stronger, and it's not depleting me. And I'm not being fed by the reflection of that light. Like, I'm not depending on that light to be reflected back to me to nourish me. I'm nourished first. So there's a couple of techniques, and here's what I wanted to share with you today. So the first technique is one that Francis Rico showed me, and he calls it bringing yourself into coherence. And I have shared it on a meditation this week. So people like Catherine have already experienced this. Put one hand lightly on over your heart. You don't press, just kind of very lightly touching, so that you can, feel the temperature of your skin, and maybe even feel a little bit of an energy, like, when you're this far away, you're not quite touching. See what that feels like over your heart. And so that's the part of our energy field, and he sees energy. That's his gift. We're in the middle of a spiral. We're in the middle of a vortex. We are the vortex. We are the center of the vortex. And this top part goes up. Well, it's up in all directions. So don't be too literal. It's not, don't lock yourself into like a sacred geometry kind of a picture, right? It's all flowing. It's more like energy water flowing, right? So here's the top part of us. And our hand is really just reminding us. It's not creating the vortex. It's just a reminder of that heart love energy. And then take your left hand. So your right hand's on your heart, put your left hand so it's under your belly button. So your thumb is like where your belly button is, and your hand is just under that, just under your belly button. Again, lightly touching. See if you can sense the temperature of your body. See if you can feel any kind of energy on your hands, in between your body and your hand. And now just take 3 deep breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. I'll stand up just in case you need to see. One is on my heart, one's just on my belly. Take some deep breaths and just be. Just sense your body, emotions, your mind, body, emotions, your spirit. Just coming into coherence, coming into alignment with themselves. And because we are the I am, we're coming into alignment and coherence with all that is, with that, our awareness of that unity consciousness, that cosmic consciousness. Doesn't that feel good? He also said, you may find yourself moving a little bit. Like, I'll exaggerate it just so you could see. You may find yourself moving around a little bit. He goes, balance isn't really the right word. Balance kind of sounds like stasis, like things are balanced and staying still. He goes, nothing's ever balanced. Everything's moving. You just want to be in the flow of synchronicity. You want to be in the flow of the energy and coherent energy. And from there, it starts to build up naturally. It just naturally nourishes you. You're nourishing yourself. So this is now part of my morning practice, is to use this technique with my hands on my body to nourish myself first. And there's one more thing I want to show you. Take a deep breath after that beautiful flowing. Remember that feeling, because now I want to strengthen it. And this is something I was offered just a couple of weeks ago in one of my morning meditations by my spirit friends. They gave me the sword of sovereignty, or the lightsaber of sovereignty. Not necessarily a sword like a weapon, but sword like strength, sword like strong. And I picture it more like Scotty beam me up in Star Trek, the column of light that goes from below your feet and up to your head. But it's, I'm in a column, but I like thinking of it as the sword of sovereignty. Because for those of us who are very sensitive to other people's energy and sensitive to the environment, we know about boundaries, right? We've had to learn how to set boundaries, especially like empathic people, right? You consciously choose what to tune into or set boundaries so you're not totally bombarded by things. And maybe this is an additional tool for that toolkit that anyone can use just to strengthen your coherence, like we were just doing, but in a stronger way, where we're really standing in our power like a superhero. So I'll just stand up again. So for those of you here and those on Zoom, join me in standing up and taking that superhero position. So separate your feet a little bit. I'll stand back so you can see me better. Separate your feet a little bit. And just like, how does a superhero stand? They don't stand like, or like, they like, ta-da, I am in my power and coherence. You're what? Yeah, like Spider-Man, Superwoman, right? Just think of all like the Avengers, right? They stand like I am ready, and their feet are firmly planted, and they're getting the energy up from the earth, and it's beaming out their hands, and they're communicating with whatever their source energy is. We'll go right to the source, creator, source energy. And we're just powering up, powering up. Feel, take your hands and really feel your palms stretching, right? And if you're into Qigong, this is your Lao Gong here, you're right. This is you could rub your hands together and feel that power and just stretch your hands out and face them towards the ground or face them out, or whatever feels more powerful to you. And try to do the same thing with your feet. Spread your toes, make your feet big like flippers in your imagination. Just feel the earth grounding in your hands and feel your back straightening and imagining that you are being what revealed to you. It's not being gifted because you already have it. Shining through your body is a giant lightsaber of sovereignty. Breathe that in. Woo. Did you feel that?
Yeah.
Victoria's saying, wow. I'm seeing a bunch of superheroes here in the sanctuary. And how about that as an addition to our morning practice, huh?
Makes you want to move.
Doesn't it? Doesn't it? Well, we are going to move in a minute. But first, we're going to power up a little bit more. There's three things. So I wanted to share this superpower position and the sword of sovereignty, however you want to think of the sword. I wanted to share the way to feel your own coherence, nourish yourself with that loving energy. And now I want to share a mantra that some of you may be familiar with. It's called Ramadasa Sa Se So Hung. You can sit down for this. And I'm going to ask you to make sure everybody has one of these. I'm just handing out a sheet of paper that has what I'm going to say on it. We're going to play a mantra. It's about 7 minutes long. And let me tell you the purpose of this mantra. This contains several Sanskrit letters that by themselves are pure mantras like Ra and Ma. Each word in the mantra is also a letter, except the last word, which is hung, which is a seed mantra. So you may have heard some of these before if you've done chanting before. Now, interesting in this one, each word ties to a chakra or energy center on the spine. So in addition to the sounds containing the vibratory qualities in our world, they also enliven the same energies in our own bodies, and almost a mirror effect. So here I'll walk you through syllable by syllable or word by word. Ra means sun, and that's related to the root chakra, which is at the bottom of our tailbone, at the bottom of our spine. Ma, so that's Ra. Then there's Ma, which is moon, and that's your sacral chakra, which is about pretty much what you were holding when your hand was in the coherence position under your belly button. It's a couple inches under your belly button. That's your sacral chakra, the word for that, to activate it. It's not called that, but it's Ma. And then Da is the navel itself, your belly button. So that's Da. So Ra is sun, Ma is moon, and Da is earth. So here we're bringing in the powers of the sun, the moon, and the earth. Of course, I love that. And then comes Sa, which means impersonal infinity. So infinity, impersonal infinity. That's the heart and the throat chakra. So now we're up here where our hand was before, our heart and our throat. So that's Sa. Then there's Se, which activates the third eye between our eyebrows. So now you can see how we're moving up those energy centers. And then there's So. Now Se is totality of infinity. So Sa is impersonal infinity here and the throat. Se is total infinity up here in the third eye. And So is our crown. And that's our personal sense or merger of identity. Now, this is important because what we're saying is, hey, sun, hey, moon, hey, earth, hey, infinity, cosmic consciousness, all that is. I merge with you now. I call on your powers and merge with you now. And then the last word is hung, which is the infinite, which sends the energy from the crown back to the root and it cycles it around, right? So I was like, oh, now I heard this actually during COVID in one of those meditation apps. I think it was Insight Timer. A beautiful woman offered this and I just fell in love with it. So when I'm like driving to Unity Center of Peace and getting ready to give a talk or do something outside, I'm saying this to myself a lot. Ramadasa sa se so hung. Does that feel good? And when you do the hung, you can just listen to this or you could sing along when you play it in just a minute. But if you do the hung, like it's an ng sound so that you feel it in your like top of your palate, so it's like vibrating your head, So say that with me one more time and then we'll play the music. Ramadasa sa se so hum. So here, what better way to recharge? Sun, moon, earth, infinity, merge with me now. That's how I think of it. That's my interpretation. Can you play it? All right. So here's our third way to charge up. had volume control, so I could just slowly fade out, right? Just like, oh. How did that feel?
Wait.
Supercharged. We're in coherence. We've charged up with our sword of sovereignty. And we've called on the moon and the sun and the earth and all the infinity consciousness into our own being. And charged up and balanced, dynamic balance, all of our body's energy centers, from the base to the crown and all the way back again. So yes, yeah, I hope you just continue to join me on this journey of unleashing our own lives. Unleashing our own lives. Are you ready to celebrate?
Yes.
And our last song, this is a sing-along, and the words will be on the screen. Sit here. Okay, get ready to move. We're going to stand up. We're going to move. We're going to dance. We're going to celebrate our sovereignty, our unleashment, our nourishment. Here we go.
Think about it. There must be a higher love down in the heart or hidden in the stars above. Without it, life is a wasted time. Look inside your heart and I look inside mine. Things look so bad everywhere in this whole world. What is fair? We walk the line and try to see, falling behind what could be. Oh, oh, bring me a higher love. Bring me a higher love. Oh, bring me a higher love. Where's that higher love? I keep thinking of. Bring me higher love. Bring me higher love. Bring me higher love.
All right, back to Zoom.
Ah, thank you, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that celebration. And now we turn it back to Dr. Maya.